So from the opening text, we are already warned that the gospel will come under attack. The gospel will come under attack. And from the days of Jesus Christ, almost 2,000 years until now, I did a little bit of overview. We realize that the gospel, in one sense, has evolved or metamorphosis, gone through some changes. And some of these changes are from external, and they come in to try to destroy and try to distract us. So one of the first things that came just only about 100 or 150 years after Jesus Christ was there arose a lot of gospel which certain people call the Gnostic gospel. These were attributed to famous people. There is a gospel of Barnabas. They say Barnabas wrote it, There's a gospel of Mary. They say Mary wrote it. And there's one particular gospel which I highlight here, because this Gnostic gospel, there are almost more than a dozen, maybe 2 dozen. The infancy gospel of Thomas. Very interesting. One of the story in this gospel, which actually emphasized on Jesus in the childhood days. He says that Jesus was about 5, 6, 7 years old, and he was playing with the neighborhood, and he made 12 dove or pigeon with mud, took up mud, and he made this 12 dove and pigeon. And then after Jesus, who was very young at that time, made these 12 birds, he actually performed a miracle, and the 12 clay birds became live birds and flew away. So, now I'm not saying this is true, this is what is recorded in the Gospel of Thomas. Up until now, that means until the story now, I have no problem. Because I remember when I was young, we watched Superman cartoon show, those days Superman cartoon show. And how Superman was that kryptonite and things like that. And there was a small snippet at the beginning where the young Superman will lift up the tractor and so forth. So up until now, no problem, I think whether Jesus turned the clay birds into live birds or not, no problem. But then the story continued, or the account continued, that they were the children of the Pharisee who came and rebuked Jesus. You cannot do this on the day of Sabbath. And the story continued to say, baby Jesus or young Jesus turned to this person and actually cursed him, and this person died. Okay? So, now that one I have a problem. I have no problem that the young Jesus is able to make clay birds become live birds. That one I have no problem with it. But if the story goes that this young Jesus actually took revenge on people who rebuked him or stopped him, that would be a problem for me. You understand what I'm trying to say? So the gospel of this Gnostic gospel came in, and there were other gospels as well, came in and then tried to, like what we say in the beginning of the text, they are another gospel, another Jesus. A bit down the road, maybe about 700 years later, so the church in the early times was a church persecuted. The Roman emperor, the Roman government persecuted the Christian. But somewhere down the road, Constantine became a Christian, and the history continued where there is this crusade war between the Christian and the follower of Islam. And at the background of it, the church wanted to recruit or enlist people to fight in the war. At the same time, the church wanted to embark on certain building projects and things like that. And so they came out with the doctrine of penance, meaning if we have commit something wrong, we pay a penalty, and then our sins are forgiven. And that kind of theology expanded to indulgences. where they can pay money or they can do something, and then their own sins can be forgiven, and they can even transfer the merits, to family members' sin also can be forgiven. And then even parents who have passed on, if I do something, if I join the war and fight in the crusade war, my parents who have died, maybe they will escape purgatory. So that was how the gospel was twisted and became something like that. In fact, there was a saying that goes like that, when the coin you put into the offering bag rings, R-I-N-G, rings, the soul in purgatory will sing. There was even a saying like that, a slogan like that to ensure or to encourage people, and this happened under, or rather officially endorsed by Pope Urban II, in 1905. And of course, down the road, maybe 300-400 years later, so Martin Luther felt that all this thing was wrong. So he wanted to correct what is the real gospel. His message was that salvation and forgiveness of sin only God can give us. It cannot be obtained through indulgences or penance. It is only by grace through faith that we can get this salvation from God. So Martin Luther emphasized faith living. The righteous, the just shall live by faith alone. And so he pinned his 95 thesis on one of the church in his place.